Index for the 6th day. Financial heavyweights are the biggest Nifty contributors. The market cap for BSE listed companies hits a record 437 lakh crore rupees.
Defence Ministry issues a request for proposal for 156 light combat helicopters. Stock of Hindustan Aeronautics gains. IIFL Finance also puts up good gains as the company says it has addressed all RBI concerns and hopes restrictions on gold business will be lifted once the central bank reviews the auditor's report.
The Mahindra and Mahindra top brass shares its 3-point growth strategy with CNBC TV18 on its investor day, with a focus on leadership in auto and farm segments, unlocking value in IT and financial services, and driving high growth in its emerging portfolio. Analysts give the plan a thumbs up, raising stock price targets. Hello and welcome to Markets Forward. Well, your go-to show where we aim to get you all the key data points and gear you up for the next trading action. I'm Nigel D'Souza, and joining me, Sudip Bandopadhyay. Hey, Sudip.
Hi, Nigel. Green is the color, I think, and both of us are wearing it because it was indeed a very, very good day, and there's no stopping the bulls on the street in full form.
Well, that's right. In the next 30 minutes or so, we'll tell you all that transpired during today's trading session. We'll also get you all the top corporate voices as well. First up, though, let's talk about today's trading action. Well, it was a good start to the week. The bulls came out rested after a long weekend, and they ended with a solid gain on the Nifty, which is up closer around 100 points. But the big outperformance actually today came in for the Nifty Bank. Because you pull up the chart of the Nifty Bank, well, that was the one that actually led the way in today's trade. That was a relative outperformer. It's been facing resistance at around 50,250, 50,300. Today, it managed to conquer that mark, ending above that 50,400 odd mark. The advanced decline ratio, well, it ended in favor of the number of stocks that were advancing. But during the trading session, those lines got a little bit closer to each other. So that's why you had almost an equal amount of stocks that were declining. One word of caution with regard to the VIX. It did perk up in today's trading session. The Nifty ended in the green, but the VIX didn't cool off. We did see that the VIX has halved in the last 2 weeks or so. But there's just one point I want to bring to your attention as well. Normally, you have an inverse relation between the two. So that was one point, Sudip. But what else? Yeah,
absolutely worth noting indeed. I mean, the rally was led by banks. After a long time, they came in and they fired away. Today, the fresh record that the index of the Nifty has set is actually just so that you have the numbers. Every day we have these new numbers. Now, the latest intraday high is 23,579. And the index did not close too far away from that mark. So the bulk of those gains were actually held on to. So that was the good thing. As Nigel mentioned, of course, a lot of it, the credit goes to really the large PSU, private sector banks that were firing away. But even PSUs weren't too bad. Mid-cap banks weren't too bad. Real estate counters had a good show. And the other major pillar for the market, which is IT, that was also firing, but partially. I mean, there was the odd TCS, which was not participating. But, you had Infosys, Wipro, a lot of other stocks on the IT side that were doing well. Defensives were out of favor today. So if you look at the underperformers, and it's FMCG and pharma. Not much rush to safety. And there was profit taking on auto stocks. Barring Mahindra and Mahindra, which we'll talk about in more detail as we go along, a lot of the other auto names like, Eicher, etc., Hero Moto, etc., Maruti, they were all looking at some cooling off after their recent run-up. Now, that's the day gone by. Let's tell you what we have for you on the show as the lineup. We'll be starting off with the key movers and shakers of the day. Vivek will have all that action for us. Stocks of the day, well, M&M. We'll give you the key reasons why that stock has been on a tear, including, making a fresh high today. Then, of course, we get to our popular segment, D Street Chatter. On the show, Nimesh will tell us why Zota Healthcare was buzzing around, what the deal is with this stock today. Last but not the least, we'll, of course, dive into the events to watch out for tomorrow. But as always, let's first start by tracking the movers and shakers with Vivek. Vivek, over to you.
Well, thank you so much for that. When you're talking about the movers today, quite a lot of names, it was a broad green screen that we saw. The first set of stocks, or the first stock on our radar, was the top Nifty gainer. That was Powergrid. Powergrid today, was the top Nifty gainer. Interesting note coming in from Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs says that they see incremental opportunity for Powergrid on the back of increased capex, since they've seen the transmission space especially in the state of Gujarat. So on the back of that, the stock ended higher by over 3%. The next set of stocks, one that we'll be discussing a lot more in detail, was the entire Mahindra Group stocks. Over the last week, the entire group actually held analyst meets for each of the businesses that they own, and they gave detailed plans. On the back of that, the entire space was abuzz today. The only stock that saw a bit of pressure was Tech Mahindra, closing near the flat line. The other set of stocks that we are tracking today is the fertilizer pack. The entire fertilizer space, all of them saw very, very strong moves, starting with Coromandel, GSFC, FACT, Chambal, Deepak, all of them higher, significantly FACT higher by over 11%. The other set of stocks, that continued their up move from the week gone by was the NBFC pack, and within the NBFC pack, it was actually the home finance companies that continued to see increased traction. So look at names like Canfin up over 6% today, Indiabulls Housing, LIC Housing, PNB, Aavas, all of them gaining in the session today. The other stock on the radar, from the broader end of the market was DOMS Industries. The company recently held an analyst meet where they held a plant visit for some select analysts. JM Financial came back, with a positive note. They believe that the company's foray into some of the other business segments within the kids category, of course, is something that's quite positive. Stock cooled off a little bit towards the end of the session, but again, ended high by over 3%. The other stock was JNK India. Very large order win. Stock pushed at the upper circuit. IIFL Finance also went ahead, and IIFL Securities initiated coverage on the stock with a buy rating. The stock ended at 20%. On the other hand, very few losers, but the pharma pack. Citi today came out with a note. They say that generic pricing erosion, especially in the quarter gone by, appears to have significantly gotten worse. And on the back of that, a lot of these stocks, especially names like Aurobindo Pharma, etc., saw quite a bit of selling pressure during the course of the day. And lastly, Kalpataru Power, there's a large block deal in this particular stock. After that, the stock ended lower by almost 4%. Kalpataru Power.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Vivek. Plenty of movers in today's trading session. Joining us on the show right now, we have Jai Bala of Catch the Chaos and Sudip Bandopadhyay of Inditrade Capital, who join us on the show. Hi, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for joining in. Jai, you go first. We keep trending up. Could you just revise those data points that you're looking at? On the downside, where does support lie? And if that support is broken, where do we slide to? And on the upside, what are the levels you're looking at?
Hi, Nigel. Two more to add. I'm also on green, and I see Sudip having a green tie. So there are two more greens. So the critical support for the Nifty, the short term, is about 23,300, and the trajectory remains up as long as the indices stay above that. But the markets needs to cool off a bit for medium to long term strength. This kind of straight move from 21,200 to record highs is quite unhealthy for the market. So that's the only aspect here. But the resistance comes at about 23,700 for the Nifty and 24,025. If 23,300 were to break, I would expect supports to come in about 22,600 and 22,350.
Okay, all right. And since you pointed that out, Jai, I think we should just get Sudip, Jai, Surbi and Nigel on the screen. It's green on the screen, it seems, and that was the trend that played out even in today's trading session.
There you go. That's a very green-looking screen, right? No wonder the bulls are all powered up and all charged up. Okay. Gentlemen, more questions for you in just a bit. Let's address our stock of the day. And the first stock that is on our radar is actually Mahindra and Mahindra. The stock hit a fresh all-time high once again today. The company's top brass shared its growth strategy with CNBC TV 18 on its investor day. Now, this took place on Friday, and the takeaways were clearly really liked by the market. The strategy includes capitalizing on market leadership in the auto and the farm segments, unlocking potential in IT and financial services, and chasing high growth in its emerging portfolio. That's the emerging gems, as it's called. Anish Shah, Group CEO and Managing Director of the company, has given a target valuation of 17 to 20 billion in terms of the growth gems.
Several growth drivers for the tractor market here. We are very far from saturation. We have a big opportunity to gain share there, and products which we've recently launched, the 3XO, allows us to do that. So there is we are number 5 in that segment in the compact segment by way of rank. So and we think we really have a strong proposition with 3XO, which can make us number 1 or number 2 or 3 years. So there's a lot we can do in ICE, many new products, some refreshes or mid-cycle enhancements, as we call them, some completely new products. So, and we want to stay invested in ICE because at least 70% of the market 3 years from now will be ICE.
These are businesses that have a great market position, in many cases are leaders in what they do. Some have been playing in smaller niches, and we need to expand those. These are businesses that, when we started this, collectively had a market cap of less than $1 billion, and we set a target of each business to get to $1 billion. There are 10 of them. And as many got closer to it, as we often do, we raise that target further and say, now we need to grow 5x. So the collective valuation of these businesses as of the last fiscal year is $4.2 billion now. And our target is to get to 17 to 20 billion from these growth gems that we have.
Well, another stock that was on our radar was HAL. The stock gained close to around 5.5–6% after the Ministry of Defence issued a request for proposal with regard to some helicopters. Upasana Bhatt joins us to fill us in with a quick analysis. Upasana, tell us more.
Well, thanks so much for that. We can clearly see the stock soaring high in trade today as Defence Ministry issues RFPs for 156 light combat helicopters. Now, with the RFP issued, the negotiation trials will begin, and once finalized, a formal contract will be awarded post CCS clearance. Now, Phillip Capital says that it expects the company's CCS clearance by end of August 2024, and it has estimated a contract value of around 40,000 crores. It says that the delivery could start from Q4 FY25 with HAL's peak production capacity at 30 light combat helicopters per year.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that, Upasana. Well, Sudip, let's come across to you. What do you make first of Mahindra and Mahindra, one of the big outperformers clearly in the last 1 year, and they say that they're the biggest outperformer even in the last 22 years. What's your take on Mahindra and Mahindra from these levels, and also HAL? The stock is just going one way, northward.
Nigel, Mahindra is a stock which I like. I had been liking it for last 1.5 years, and it has rewarded the investors handsomely. And even at this level, I believe that we are not done yet. I think there is still a long way to go for Mahindra and Mahindra. In fact, Mr. Jejurikar was mentioning, I heard the interview, and I completely agree with that. I think this is, tractor is one segment, tractor and farm equipment is one segment where I think we are just seeing the trailer. There is a lot more to come. Mahindra has a long way to go before they can reach a level where I think they should be. Also remember that we had this rural stress and rural income challenge, and with the prediction of a normal monsoon this year, we should be probably, and with the support of government as well, we should probably reach a stage where rural income becomes robust and tractor demand also starts growing up. Remember, beyond the generic tractor demand, I think Mahindra has a lot more to climb up in terms of competitive ranking in the tractor industry, and they can do well there as well with their new launches. So yes, while SUV and other portion of the business has been firing on all cylinders, tractors and farm equipment needs to fire, and with that happening, I think Mahindra and Mahindra can go to a different level. As far as HAL is concerned, I mean, what can I say? I mean, they keep winning new orders and they keep moving up in terms of price, but I'm a bit careful. I think at this kind of valuation levels, I would take a pause, and I don't think I will recommend a buy here. Everything is good, but the valuation looks too rich. And one has to remember that there is a transition time between receiving an order and delivering the product, and also that flowing into the P&L. So there is a gestation period. I think this is my feeling that market is probably moving a bit ahead of itself as far as pricing of some of these defense stocks are concerned.
Imagine at the start of 2023, HAL was just a 1,200 rupees stock. Start of 2023, 1,200. We're in the middle of 2024, and we're talking 5,500 on the board already. It's been an unbelievable run for some of these defense PSUs. Okay, let's move on now and talk about another Mahindra Group company. This was also a stock that was in sharp focus today. Tech Mahindra in focus after MD and CEO Mohit Joshi told us that the company is targeting over 500 basis points margin expansion as part of the multi-year growth plan. In an exclusive conversation, he added that the demand environment is now looking better compared to last year. Take a look.
We will deliver a 15% EBIT margin by FY27, and so that is the plan. It's a 3-year plan. Again, I'm very reluctant to give quarterly or near-term targets because there is a lot of volatility, right? And because, as we've said, we're in the middle of a turnaround story. In the first year, you should expect volatility. You should expect us to go, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because that is the nature of the business, right? We're also investing heavily in the business to create the foundation for long-term success. But we've given a very clear expectation of where we expect to be from a growth perspective, from a return on capital perspective, from a free cash flow perspective, and from a margin perspective by FY27, and to build to build on what already is a world-class franchise.
All right, so that was Tech Mahindra. Let me ask Jai on maybe, any investment call or even trades on all these stocks. We've discussed several, Mahindra and Mahindra, Tech Mahindra, HAL, and of course Power Grid. Any thoughts on either of these or all of these?
See, Mahindra and Mahindra, I'm obviously the medium term and the long term is quite bullish. And when it comes to HAL, the medium term and the short term is giving warnings, but the long term is extremely good. So, in both these names, you may need to wait for a considerable amount of time. In Mahindra, the short-term correction could even be quite steep. It could even bring it to somewhere close to 2,300 mark. So, that's a sizable bit of caution out there. But when it comes to Tech Mahindra, don't like it at all. Most of the IT names are struggling, and they are in a corrective up move. And Mahindra could push for fresh 2024 highs, but that will be quite fleeting. And most probably Tech is going to be the rank underperformer. And if any index were to drop to fresh 52-week low, that will probably come from IT indices first. So that's the reason why I'm very cautious on Tech Mahindra.
Got it. Okay, all right, Jai. Well, let's wind this down with a quick word, Sudip, on MMFSL. That's been a relative underperformer in the last few years if you compare it with the other stocks in the group. But clearly, the management is sounding optimistic there. Credit costs, they say, will come down. Cost to income as well will taper down. Your view?
I agree with that. I think it has been an underperformer. And we had this unfortunate incident where they had a major fraud in northeast of India recently. And they had to take a write down and things like that. Unfortunately, this probably is a one-off incident, but it happened. So everybody became cautious. We also expect the credit cost will come down. And we know that M&M Financial has a significant presence in rural India. And with rural income and rural prosperity increasing with a good monsoon and support of government in the recent next few months, I think M&M Financial's credit cost will come down. The opportunity for their business will also increase. So yes, we have probably seen the worst of M&M Financial. And if you compare with other NBFCs and financial services companies, I think it has been a relative underperformer, both in terms of financial performance as well as market performance. So yes, if somebody is an aggressive investor, it is definitely worth looking at M&M Financial at current levels.
Okay, all right, gentlemen. We appreciate you joining in, Sudip as well as Jai. Thanks a lot for joining and giving us your take on a whole host of stocks. Well, let's move on then and let's get straight to our corporate corner. The first stock on our radar is Gravita. The lead recycler expects to continue seeing a shift from the informal to the formal segment. They are guiding for 25% CAGR volume growth over the next 3 to 4 years, with gradual improvement in margins as the value-added products contribution increases. The company has lined up a 600 crore rupee capex, most of which will be financed through internal accruals. Moving to fintech company Zaggle, well, the company maintains guidance of doubling their revenues in the next 2 years. Also, the management hinted at a potential inorganic growth opportunity in the second half of this fiscal, which could have a revenue potential of around 500 crore rupees.
Coming to IIFL Finance, that stock gained over 4% in trade as the management told CNBC TV 18 that the deterioration in asset quality was largely due to the impact on the gold loan business after RBI restrictions. The NBFC is looking at a quick resolution. It says that it has met all those RBI norms. It also aims to bring gross NPAs down to below 2% by the end of FY25. Also expects its MFI segment to grow 25 to 30% this year without any hiccup in asset quality. All right, with that, we'll take another quick break. Come back on the other side with our segment D Street Chatter, along with all the events you need to watch out for tomorrow.
CNBC TV 18's most comprehensive and award-winning news show, India Business Hour, drops first on YouTube. So get the first access to the most influential architects of policies and politics, the key newsmakers of the day. Discover the big themes as we decode the business of markets, macros and more. Be the first to go to the heart of all the top stories that drive the day's agenda. Catch the award-winning India Business Hour live every night on YouTube with me, Shireen Bhan.
India Business Hour live on YouTube at CNBC TV 18 weeknights at 7 p.m.
Welcome back. Here with us on Markets Forward. As always, it's now time for our segment D Street Chatter. Let's go across to Nimesh and see what's on his radar. Nimesh, so bulls in firm control of this market.
Oh, absolutely, and largely in the broader markets, right? While the index was up just 0.5%, a lot of individual names in the broader markets were up 15-20% as well. In terms of individual names, the first is a lot of block deals in mid-cap names today. Kalpataru Power, more than 1 crore equity got changed hands, so that the disclosures would be quite interesting there. Quickhill saw a large block, nearly 10% equity, but there I understand it's an inter-se promoter transfer. The other big block was FIAM Industries, 3.5%, and so was Alchem Labs, which saw a large block of 1.5%. So disclosures in all these names would be quite interesting. The second stock is Samudra Motherson. While that stock was buzzing into it in large volumes, I understand the HNI interest is back on that particular name, hence a big move on that stock. The third stock is Sansera Engineering. The stock has been consolidating of late, but now I understand there's going to be a large block deal very soon, a potential clean-out trade. So that's something to track in Sansera. And the last name is Zota Healthcare. While there is a board meeting scheduled today for fundraising by a pref issue, I understand some large market investors are likely to invest in the company. So again, there the disclosures could be quite interesting in Zota Healthcare.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Nivesh. Well, before we wrap up, let's get you all the key market events you need to track for tomorrow's trading session. Mangalam joins us to run us through that neat list. Mangalam, take it away.
Well, track the Wall Street today, but you can't be doing that tomorrow because Wall Street is on a holiday tomorrow. It's the Juneteenth holiday, as they call it, on the 19th of every June. Nifty Bank will be extremely in focus in tomorrow's trading session, and that's largely on account of the weekly options expiry for the Nifty Bank. It's a Wednesday out here. Adani Energy, that stock will be also on our radar because it's the Jefferies corporate day tomorrow, so meeting a lot of analysts. Also meeting a lot of analysts are, the management at RBL Bank because they are attending the Bank of America conference. And finally, the meeting, the big meeting that everyone will be keeping an eye out on is the cabinet meeting with the CCEA, the Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs, the meeting likely at 5 p.m. So those will be a bunch of events which will be in extreme focus tomorrow.
Okay, all right, got it, Mangalam. Thank you very much for that. But Mangalam, by the way, before we go, because I want to bring up this talk as we say our goodbye, today's listing, guys, that was a major pop. It's Ixigo Lee Travenues Technology. I got that right? Yeah. Okay, we have the stock on the radar. And there we go. That was today's listing. Great pop and a good 80% appreciation from the issue price.
All right. Well, on that note, though, we'll have to wrap up on this edition of Markets Forward. We'll be back with more news and updates on the other side.